Where does everything stand as to how Justin Turner tested the way that he did and the methods that the Major League Baseball powers that be took for it and how he wound up on the field, so on and so forth, Jeff?
So let's go through the timeline here, Rich. I think it starts with Monday's testing. So that's on the day of Game 5. And players, personnel, everybody inside the baseball bubble take one COVID-19 test per day. It's a saliva test, and it gets sent to this lab in Utah that Major League Baseball essentially retrofitted from a PED testing lab in order to be a COVID testing lab. They've done 200,000 tests over the course of this season, and those tests got sent out there. Now, one thing that I do not understand still is why the results from those tests came back as late as they did. Typically the tests have come back before the game, but the results from those tests on Monday did not make it back before Tuesday's game. And so in the second inning, Major League Baseball was informed that there was an inconclusive test with Justin Turner. It showed some signs that it may be a positive, but they weren't exactly certain. Around that same time, the tests from before Game 6, from Tuesday, had arrived in Utah. And instead of rerunning the test from the day before, they said, let's expedite the test from today and see what comes up. And that takes about 2 hours. So between the second inning and the seventh inning, that test was being run. And in fact, it did come back positive, at which point Major League Baseball called the Dodgers and said, pull Justin Turner off the field. He has tested positive for COVID-19. Now, at that point, Justin Turner or any player who tests positive is supposed to go into isolation and remain in isolation until he can essentially go home, which is kind of a tough thing to do because home is Southern California for him. So he was in a room away from his teammates and was supposed to stay there. And then the Dodgers won the World Series. And when the Dodgers won the World Series, Rich, he came out of that room, he went onto the field, and all of those photos that you've seen of Justin Turner not wearing a mask, sitting next to his manager, Dave Roberts, who's a cancer survivor who also wasn't wearing a mask, kissing his wife, all these different things that run afoul of these ideas that Major League Baseball has been preaching ad nauseum for the last few months, came to fruition on the biggest stage possible and brought up a lot of questions that you have, questions that I still have.